time. So our next session here is all about income in retirement. And I'm going to be talking today and sharing some ideas with you about what happens when people retire. So yeah, the common question we're asked is, have I got enough money to retire? And today I thought I'd talk through some options, some ideas, and some dangers that we see commonly when we're looking at financial planning. This session's going to last about 20 minutes, and I'll try and make it as exciting as I possibly can, I promise, before handing over to Bex. So, the way it used to be in the old days, that isn't me by the way, not yet anyway, it was very, very simple retirement really. You took your pension pot, let's just say you had a personal pension pot of £100,000, and you handed it over to an annuity provider. An annuity provider would be one of the big names that you'll have heard of, and they would then promise to pay you an income for the rest of your life. Now, going back 15, 20 years, when I was certainly doing this job as a younger man, I would be looking at people getting rates of perhaps 9–10% returns on their pensions. Now it's very different. We've already heard today about how economies have slowed, interest rates are far lower, and people are living longer, and people are also retiring earlier. And all of that mishmash means that when you now hand over your £100,000 to an annuity provider, you're lucky really if you're getting kind of £5,000, £6,000 a year, which means instead of trying to live for 11 years or so, you're looking at more like 20 plus. And so the government have realised for many, many years that the traditional approach to retirement isn't for everybody. Now it does work for some people, and certainly for simple cases of just needing a bit of income, it's great still. But for many people, it's presented a problem. And so back in 2015, George Osborne, the Chancellor then, came up with pension freedoms. And I thought I'd try and show you how pension freedoms work using a big bar of dairy milk. I thought that'd be a good idea. So I know. Oh, some ooze would be amazing. So, there we are. So I'm going to use my chocolatier gloves. I know, I'm fully into theatre here. All right. And yeah. So talk amongst yourselves, that's it, there we are. And I'll snap them on there. Right, so this is my bar of chocolate here. Here it is. A bit of advertising, and this is going out to all our clients on the web, but there we are. So I managed to get this off the internet. Now, what I've done here is I've pulled it out the wrapper. The first thing I'm doing here is I'm crystallising my pension. And what that means is as soon as I crystallise the pension, I basically touch it. I take it out of the wrapper. I start to use it. So when it's in the wrapper, it's totally uncrystallised. The minute I take it out, I've crystallised it. So there it is. Ooh. So a great big bar of chocolate. Let's just say this has got 100 pieces in it. I haven't counted them, but we're just going to assume there's 100 pieces. And this is your pension pot. Let's say it's £100,000, and each piece, therefore, is £1,000 per piece. What has happened traditionally in the past is you would hand that over and have your income for life. Now what's happening is you are allowed to eat the whole lot all at once. Now you would be very sick, and really the sickness is the equivalent of the tax that you would pay if you were to do it this way. Now the first quarter, and I haven't actually done this because this is really expensive, so the first, awesome, come on, the first quarter, that was so lucky, the first quarter is tax-free, okay? So I can eat all of this tax-free, that's fine. I get no tax on the first 25%. Many of you have been through this and you're nodding, okay? The rest, however, the remaining £75,000 is taxable. And if I were to eat all the lot in one tax year, I will be taxed as if I have just earned £75,000. And you've just had your tax session, so you know that's going to be painful, all right? However, there are other ways we could do this. What we could do is we could not take it out the wrapper. I can't get it back in, I'm not even going to try, okay? But let's just imagine it's all in the wrapper here, and I just slide out the first tier, which, it's worked again. There's 10%, okay? So what we've got here is 10 pieces of chocolate, all right? That is, ladies and gentlemen, £10,000, okay? I could, with my personal pension plan, say, I tell you what I'll do, I won't crystallise the whole lot, I'll just crystallise the first row, £10,000. And then, and I really can't do this, I take two and a half bits, okay? And I say, there's my tax-free cash, which is basically on £10,000, £2,500. £2,500 is tax-free, okay, and the remaining 7.5 is taxable. But £7,500 in the tax year, not too bad. Might even be able to squeeze that in my personal allowance, right? So that 7.5 can then be very, very tax efficient. Meanwhile, the rest of the chocolate bar is growing and it's still uncrystallized, very important, which means there's still tax-free cash building up within it. Now, are you wrong, going back to the original, to take your tax-free cash and crystallize the whole lot? No, it's not wrong. It could well work very well for someone who's already got too much earnings and they need access. But for other people, if they're planning this, they might decide to just break off little pieces. And of course, you could still go with the rest of the chocolate bar in the future and go to an annuity provider and buy an annuity from there. Now, you might be forgiven for thinking, wow, that chocolate bar idea, that's the best way of saving. What I'm going to do, I'm going to pile all my money into a pension. I'm going to get the tax relief up front, and then I'm going to sort of squeeze out and eke out my income without paying too much tax. Seems a brilliant idea. But you do have to be above age 55. And I know for looking at most of you, that's some way off, okay? But do you like what I did there? No, never mind. Okay. Also, withdrawals, as I've said, may be taxable. In addition to this, if you're thinking, aha, I've got a little personal pension plan, I might just cash that in and do what Darren has been saying there. Be careful. You need to have financial advice, which costs money, of course, if you are having more than £30,000 pension pot. So a few rules there. There's also a few traps, and these are really important. If you're the last one with the chocolate, you've got to eat the lot. Okay, no, I'm joking. Just keep going round. There is something called the lifetime allowance, because you might think, well, that's great, I'll put all my money into a pension pot. You can't. Well, you can, but you'll pay a considerable amount of tax once you've got more than just over £1 million in that pension pot. Also, you can't pay more than £40,000. All right, I'll put it there by Dave, and then Dave, you eat it. Okay, there you are. Also, you can't pay more than £40,000 into a pension in a tax year. That's your annual allowance. That's been reduced greatly. So if you're thinking, oh, lovely, I'll put £100,000 in, it's going to be tough to do. We can use some carry-back techniques, but it's tricky. The other thing to bear in mind, of course, is the annual allowance is dependent upon you having actually earned the money. You have to be earning it. That doesn't count as investment income or rental income. You've got to be earning it. There's also something called the money purchase annual allowance, which we're hearing a lot at the moment about the doctors who are saying they're not going to work anymore. Why is that? It's because of this crippling money purchase annual allowance that's been brought in recently. And what this means is, and be careful, if you've said, okay, actually, I've got my main pension here, I'm not ready to retire yet, but I am over 55, and what I'm going to do, I want to help the kids through university. I've got an old personal pension plan, it's £18,000, I'm going to take that out like the chocolate bar, I'm going to pay a bit of tax, get it out and help the kids through uni. Watch out, because you're immediately starting to stray into this territory where you've started to crystallise your pension benefits. And you need to make sure that you don't start falling into this money purchase annual allowance trap, which means you can't pay more than £4,000, and that's why the doctors are having some problems at the moment. And as I say, it's taxed as income. Now, I thought it'd be a great idea if we made up a client and we imagined somebody coming to us to get some advice on their retirement and income. I thought, let's have a chap. Let's call him Dave. That'd be a good idea. So you won't know this guy. This is Dave. Dave's... so you can't laugh at it. So Dave has had a very busy career. It came abruptly to an end, and he's now enjoying retirement. And there's Dave, and he's having a beer, and he's nice and relaxed. He's got no worries at all. And he's saying, well, actually, I've come to you now, and I need some help with my retirement. Now, Dave has got £300,000 in a crystallised pension fund. In other words, he's already had all his tax-free cash out. He's coming to us with the rest of the chocolate bar. Okay, so we haven't got that trick of the tax-free cash left. We've had a chat with Dave, and we've said, have you got anything else? And he said, well, not much. I have got some offshore investments and a few bits and pieces and some shares and some savings accounts. So we put it all together, and actually, it's come to another £300,000. That's what Dave's got. Now, Dave, very sadly, has no income at all, and he's too young for the new state pension age that's come in. It's a shame, isn't it? So he's saying to us, look, I really need to get income from my pension. We ask him how much, And he says, well, I've been talking to my wife and we reckon we can get by on £2,000 a month net after tax. No laughing. And so we say, okay, that means we need £24,000. Now, this is traditionally what would happen. Dave would go to his pension advisor or to his pension and he'd say, right, I need to take £26,875 gross out of my pension, please. And they break off a piece of the chocolate bar and they give it to him. The first £12,500, do you remember I talked about the Smarty winners earlier on? I think it was John, you won. Well done, sir. Are you still excited about that? Sorry about throwing them so hard. The £12,500 personal allowance means he doesn't pay any tax on that bit as long as his code is right. But the rest of it here, he's going to pay £2,875 tax on. That's lost in tax to the tax man. There he is, he gets his £24,000, all right? Good, you're all with me, I can see. So here's the million-dollar question. How long does his pot last? Now, we have the benefit of cash flow modelling tools, and it's what we do all day for our clients, is try and work out, are they going to run out of money? I wondered if you'd like to have a guess. How long will the pension pot last? I've bought you enough time. Can I get some numbers? What do you think?
10 years.
25 years, 10 years, 15 years. Okay, any advances? We got a 25, a 10 and a 15. Let's have a look. The answer was 12 and a half. So we had a 15 and a 10. Right, it's okay. I can do 15 and 10. I have to throw them. There you are, very close. Imogen, I'll get you more scones later, don't worry. Okay, so 12 and a half years. Now that's not long, right? Because if Dave, let's just say he's 60, by 72 and a half, he's completely run out of money. That pension pot's gone. He's now falling back on the dribs and drabs and the bits and pieces that he's got. Not looking good. But we say to Dave, wait, there is another way. Oh, by the way, we assumed 2.5% inflation, which funnily enough was our Saracen man's assumption earlier, and 5% net returns to get there. There is another way. And we say to Dave, okay, hang on a minute. This is what we could do. Now, this is just one idea. It's not us saying, oh, this is what you must do, because there's many things you can do in financial planning. But just to make this session so exciting, I'm going to use an example. So what we could do is we could say, hang on a minute. Dave, don't take 24,000 from your pension, just take 12. So he takes 12,000 from his pension. Now that's within his personal allowance, okay? So as long as we get the code right, he pays 0 tax, nil pois, okay? Then, after that, we say, well, why don't we then take 12,000 from your existing capital? So he draws down his capital, £12,000 a year. Now that's not income, so he pays no income tax. And you'll notice, we don't like creating too much income on investments because it gets taxed. But the capital, if we're clever, we can draw that out. So he's now got £24,000 a year, but he's paid no tax. I do appreciate he's now eroding the investments, but back to our original question, how long now does the pension pot last? So we know it lasted 12 and a half years before. He's now taking half. How much longer? And I've got no Smarties left, so this is for pure pride, okay? For pure pride. How much longer does this money now last? Any ideas? 25? 30. Any advances? Or any reductions? Okay, we've got 25 and 30. You just need to trust us. We can do better here. So 38 years. And that's really interesting, 12 and a half to 38. And the reason is erosion of capital. Once you start to get to a point where it's eroding too fast, you can't get it back. You can't make it back. It's just on a downward trajectory. It's easy for you to say. So 38 years. Okay, so that's really encouraging. But what about the investment? Let's have a look. What could we do to keep the levels just right? Now, for this, I need 2 very brave and very steady-handed volunteers, please. I've got no Smartie stuff for you, but come on, you've had a lot of chocolate already. Can I get 2 volunteers who are going to get a massive clap, please? Anybody? Come and help me with these jugs here. Who have I got? Oh, thank you, Vicky. Give Vicky a big clap. Thank you, Vicky. And who else is going to join Vicky here? Come on, somebody else. I'm going to pick on someone otherwise. Oh, Penny, you're a star. Give Penny a clap. Thank you, Penny. Okay. Now these 2, yeah, don't be shaking. Okay, now these 2 wonderful volunteers are going to help us here. And what I'd like them to do, I'd like them to actually come over to my side, please. And what we've got here, I'm going to go here and I'll talk from this side, is, sorry, did you like me? Okay, what we've got here is This is Dave's investment, and we're going to call this, just for argument's sake, and there's many different ways of doing this, we're going to call this a life assurance bond wrapper, okay? That's nice and memorable, right? So the life assurance bond wrapper, and in there, the purple juice is Dave's money, and it's £300,000, and it's right on that level where we've got the little sticker. You can see the £300,000 is there. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to make Penny here, okay? She's Dave's financial advisor, so I'm going to give you an empty jug. Okay, I know, I'm sorry about this. And what Penny's going to do in a minute, and this is high-tech stuff, okay? She's going to take the capital that's already there out the bottom of this little dispenser. So she's going to take back the purple juice. But we're going to ask Vicky here. Vicky's the investment manager. There you are, Vicky. Vicky has got the income. That's the growth on the investments. Now, guys, what we need to do is not move from that line. So we need to be basically very steady-handed at the top, please, Vicky. No pressure, but you're going to ruin the whole day if you get this wrong, okay? And then, Penny, we need you to gently take the money out. Not too excited, not too fast, okay? And we're going to cheer you on. And can we get the level the same, moving it from here to here? Are we ready? Are you excited about this? Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Here we go. It's going in. Very steady at the top there. Excellent fund management at the top. It's just dropping a bit, mine. That's it. Yeah, come on, Vicky. You've got to keep, that's it. Come on, Vicky, a bit more returns. That's it. Not too much returns. That's it. That's good. Excellent. Oh, look at Penny, steady. She's done this before. Taking it. Dave's going to be very happy with this. Keep it a bit more at the top. Slow down here a little bit. That's it. A bit more. That's it. Easy. A bit more now, a bit more. It's going to get too much otherwise. That's it. Good. Wasn't this exciting? Have you not had so much fun today? Did you not think you'd have so much fun?
Yes, yeah. Risk of overflowing.
Yes, no, it's going to work. Trust me. Okay. Yeah, well done, Vicky. And Vicky's finished. And Penny, you can turn it off. Quick, don't let, that's it. Look at that. No, that's it. Don't take any more. That's it. Great. Well done. Give them a massive round of applause. Thank you so much. And a curtsy, wonderful. And a bow, thank you so much. Aren't they wonderful? Thank you so much. Thank you for rescuing me there. I would have really struggled doing all that at the same time. So, what have they managed to achieve? Well, in simple terms, they've kept the level exactly the same. But they've managed to wash effectively the taxable income coming in the top through the system and take capital back out, which is quite interesting. So, how does that work in Dave's case? Well, Dave has taken out a life assurance bond in this instance. It's not the only way of doing this, it's just one way, okay? A life assurance bond just has a life insurance on it of 1%. It effectively tells the taxman, look, we want you to tax this as income, not as capital, so you don't have to worry about capital gains tax rules in the same way. Also then, it's a non-qualifying investment wrapper. What that means is that the juice coming in the top, we had the orange there, that was being taxed. So life assurance bonds are not the most tax efficient investments at source. They're taxed. As that income's coming in, it's paying away. 20% usually it's deemed to be basic rate tax. Furthermore, there's an underlying tax drag. So, if we were to compare, we've had Saracen today, the Saracen Food and Agricultural Fund on its own in what we call collective form, in a collective account, and we were to compare it in one of these life assurance bonds, the growth on the collective will be slightly better over time because of the tax drag. So why are we using this? Well, it's very, very useful because you can get withdrawals that are tax deferred. Now, not tax-free, tax deferred. Big difference. What that means is all that's coming out is fine, but there's going to be a day of reckoning where it's all brought back into the calculation. So, here's Dave. He's now relaxed. He's walking along the beach. He's got his £24,000 a year. He's quite happy. It's all under control. And let's just say Dave goes 20 years down the line. Remember, he's been having £12,000 out, and thanks to the amazing management and handling of these guys, everything's still on track. He's looking at his bond and he's happy. And in fact, let's just say he's been having he's got the £300,000 in the bond wrapper. He's been having the 12,000 out, which is 4% a year of the capital invested. Let's just say that what's been coming in the top's been a little bit better, actually. Nice steady hand there, so it's been going a bit better. 5% growth. So what that means is the level's just been slightly rising, which is good. That's okay. What's the tax? So here's Dave. He's gone 20 years down the road. This now, let's say it's worth £373,293, just as a round number. Okay? He's therefore made a chargeable gain of £73,293, plus remember he's been having all this out the bottom. He's had £12,000 a year for 20 years, which of course is £240,000. That gets added in. He's got a chargeable gain therefore of £313,973. It's done well, hasn't it done well? If we divide that though, we do something called a top slicing calculation. I know you're enjoying this. We divide it up by 20 and that gives us a top slice in this instance of £15,664.65. Dave, if he's not a higher rate taxpayer, if it doesn't make him a higher rate taxpayer, technically has nothing further to pay, which is quite encouraging. So life assurance bonds can work very effectively in certain circumstances. Of course, it's always part of an overall plan. And what we like to do for our clients is use up ISAs, pensions, collectives, which are then the non-ISA bit, and a life assurance bond all together to create an overall plan for our clients. Now that was a bit fast, and I know that there's probably a lot bouncing around your heads, and also you haven't eaten all your chocolate yet, so let's pass that around again. But I've got a couple of minutes just to field questions on this before we hand over to the very capable Rebecca. So do you have anything that's on your mind at all, question-wise, from that session?
I just didn't understand what top slicing.
Top slicing, yeah. So what happens is, because the gain is classed as income, it has to be related back to income. And the HMRC will divide up the amount of gain by the full amount of years you've held it. So this is very advantageous to people who've held it for a long, long time. If they've kept it in there effectively, those years, those full years, in this instance, in Dave's circumstance, 20 years, that massive gain is taken down into 20ths. And it's only the 20th that's then applied as a top slice on top of his current income levels. Well, if he hasn't got much, I mean, he'd probably have state pension by then and things, it shouldn't make him a high rate taxpayer. Of course, we've always got to adjust these plans, and this thing really is a good illustration, not just with life assurance bonds, but what we have to do with our clients day in, day out, with their ISAs, pensions, what have you. We're trying to make sure we're encouraging them not to take too much, but obviously to take enough they can live, and to make sure we're matching it realistically. So hopefully that was a good illustration there. All right.
I don't really understand why he just didn't, forget the bond, he just didn't invest and just balance the two halves. You with me?
I think that's what he was trying to do in the end, but what a lot of people do is they just focus, oh, that's pension, therefore I must retire with my pension. Right. And really this is just a simple illustration of what we will do a lot for clients, where we'll look for the other bits and pieces of the puzzle, pull it all together and try and keep too much pressure off one thing.
Without the life insurance bit.
Oh yes, we could have used ISAs, we could have used collective investments, but there's some different tax quirks. So for this purpose today, I thought it was the best one to use. Brilliant. Okay, thank you.